Hello and welcome to Lewis Nichols Live Stories in association with Shane Solomon. And I'm excited to bring on our guest today, the brilliant and lovely Tina Malone. Thank you for coming down.
My pleasure.
You actually saved me last night because we went out for a bite to eat and I spilt curry down my suit, and then you told me about this trick with soda water.
Yeah.
Got it out for me because I was rubbing it in.
Mostly my friend Jeanette, who was with me, one of my dearest best friends in the world from Manchester, suggested
Straight
it.
away,
and I ended up rubbing your so early in the day. I was rubbing your lapel of your jacket, so
and got it out for me. So today's live stories, and you've had such a big career, and there's been highs, there's been lows.
Yeah.
It's been very much in the public eye. So there's a lot to cover. But I want to go back to the very beginning for you, which is kind of where your love of performing, the passion of acting, where that came from.
Okay, I went to a school in Liverpool called Blackburn House, Liverpool Institute High School for Girls, where they had the boys opposite us, and we were Blackburn House, and it created a lot of, it was a very prestigious, it was the best school in Liverpool. And in the boys, Paul McCartney went to the boys.
Wow.
So did my brother, Simon, and George Harrison went to the boys. And the art school opposite, John Lennon went to. But I went to Blackburn House, as did somebody like Edwina Curry, a few years before me, I'm not that old. And it was a very prestigious school. I was kind of one of those. And what happened was we had a drama teacher called Anne Bates, Mrs. Bates, who was terrifying but magnificent. And literally, I was about 13, 14, and she was doing things like Harvey, famous plays, She Stoops to Conquer. And I always remember, and it rings through my ears even at now, my grand old age of 62, her saying, Malone, you've got something, you can act. But of course, I did a couple of her plays at the Boys Institute, and as well as our Liverpool Girls Institute, Blackburn House. And then I discovered kind of boys of 14, 15, and my love of music, which stayed with me forever. And I did always love theatre and film. But I kind of drifted off for a while, and then, was pregnant at 17, lived in Toxteth, single parent, working in the Holiday Inn. So for a while, I kind of didn't do any acting. Yeah.
What was kind of your childhood like? Did you come from a close-knit family? Did you have like supportive parents that always got behind you? Like, what was growing up like for Tina?
I came from a very peculiar family. Both parents absolutely adored me and my brother, but I was an only child till I was 8. And my name is Christina, and my mother, Alwyn, who's still with us, bless her, and my father died 22 years ago, Frank. So my mother was Alwyn Evans, married Francis Thomas Patrick Malone. My father was very eclectic, very bohemian, he liked the fact that we lived in Toxteth, which was predominantly a difficult area, but I lived in a 22-bedroom, 22-roomed house. So we would have kind of in the 70s, 80s, from the age of 11 to 15, 16, we would have curb crawlers and prostitutes on one corner, and poets and artists and the real thing, singers, on the other corner. I lived in the very famous Percy Street in Toxteth in Liverpool, which created, from the 60s right through to the music scene in Liverpool, and, right from the Beatles right through to, I ended up in a flat in Huskerson Street. Next door lived the Boo Radleys, and the Lars, Barry from the Lars, lived above me in the flat, and I brought Danielle up there, my youngest, and it was a very... the girl next door to me, Mandy Smith, worked for BBC Radio Merseyside. So it was a very strange upbringing. My father spoke 17 languages, so we travelled all over the world, which meant at school I was bullied quite a lot, because we talked about this the other day, me and my friend Jeanette. Everybody come back from school after infants and juniors, and they'd been to, say, a caravan in Gronand. And I'd been to Morocco or Romania or Brazil. And so I'd be tanned. And you can imagine 1970, you'd been on a plane to, somewhere. They'd all been in a caravan in Gronand. So I got punched, you know what I mean, for having a tan and being... But my father was, I used to beg my mum and dad, could I have fish fingers and chips? Because we always had something like, you know, a Somalian meal or, you know, Caribbean chicken for tea. And my parents were just very, very eclectic, very Bohemian. My mother was from an Irish Catholic large family, and my father was from a large family, and he was quite middle class, my father.
Okay.
And so it was very strange. He believed in literature. He believed in art. So from a very young age, I had to be able to say hello, welcome in Romanian to German to French, Spain, Spanish, whatever. And, you know, my dad played the violin, the accordion, the piano. So at 7 or 8 years of age, I knew the stylistics and Fats Domino and Chuck Berry to both Mozart and Chopin.
Yeah.
So I was always destined to be an odd child, odd person.
Did you get any of that from your dad then? So in the sense of, you know, he spoke all these languages, he wanted you to learn literature and languages. I guess you're kind of performing because you're having to learn, you're having to kind of do what he wants you to do. So do you get it from him, that love of performing?
I get my father in a kind of way loved performing, but that wasn't his job. But my love of all things creative and eclectic and bohemian and culture was his thing. He loved people from, you know, whether you were from Sri Lanka, Somalia, or Jamaica, or Poland, or Ukraine. He loved culture. So he very much indoctrinated that in us. I think I got my natural ability for academics at a young age from him.
Yeah.
And a love of learning. But the acting, there was nobody in our family, my grandparents on both sides, nobody performed as such. And that kind of started, I guess. I did tap and ballet, as all kids in Liverpool do, from the age of 7 to 12, but I was never particularly good. I love dance, love music, but, you know, was a little bit of a weird fat kid. So, do you know what I mean? I wasn't great. I was kind of at the back, but I loved it.
So you've obviously loved performing, but when did that moment happen for you where that became your career? Was it Brookside or was there stuff kind of before?
Well, no, and you know, it's funny, people used to say to me, when I was kind of 14 to 16, I was working in the Holiday Inn with my best friend, Karen, and we used to babysit for the footballers.
Really?
So there was an Everton player called John Gidman and Kenny Dalglish playing for Liverpool. And Karen predominantly looked after Kelly Dalglish and I looked after Patrick Gidman, the Everton player's son. And Paul Dalglish, I used to change him. I met him a few years ago at a festival and said, I used to change your ball. He was like, I'm in my 30s. But yeah, we loved, I'm a big Liverpool fan, big red. But and when I was kind of 15, 16 and met all the players, Alan Hansen, Kenny Dalglish, Jimmy Case, Ray Kennedy, Sammy Lee, David Fairclough, all them. And I used to talk to them, get tickets off them for the games, and I used to say, I'll be famous one day. And I guess I didn't essentially want to be famous as such. I wanted validation. I was kind of a bit of a strange child. I was quite odd. From the age of 6 or 7. I wasn't allowed a bulb in my bedroom by my father because I would sit up all night sharpening pencils to make sure they all were in the same place. So I had OCD from a very young age. My parents were the most wonderful, loving, giving people in the world. And still to this day, my mother she's 86 and would kill for me. But I just was an odd, eccentric child, and I only learned to embrace that. I tried to fit in for many years, but I embraced that once I got into my teenage years. And I was one of those, I didn't kind of run with the hare and the hounds as such. It was only when I got to 14, 15 that I got the guts to, when my mates would knock and go, you're coming out, you know, to hang around the bushes in the park. I kind of go, actually, I'm going to stay in with me, my mum and dad, because like my mum and dad are really cool, so I'm staying in.
Yeah.
So it was only I embraced my eccentricity. I've never been, even as a child, I've always been Marmite. You love me or you hate me. And I've always been fine with that. I always wanted validation, but I never needed to be liked. I'm not like, and most people say that, but I actually enjoy being disliked.
Like the villain.
Yeah, I just like being disliked.
For what reason, or what do you get from that?
Because I think if somebody who, we can't all be everybody's cup of tea, can we? And I just think if, I've never wanted to be nice or lovely because it's dull. And also, I'm not contrived. So since I was a teenager, I learned to live with my flaws and accept my flaws. I'm great at this, I'm great at that, I'm great at the other, but like I'm really shit at that, I'm really bad at that, and I'm awful at that. And you have to accept those flaws. You know, for example, I've never been, I know I'm talented, I know I'm funny, but I know I've never been a looker. And everyone thinks when you say that, you're fishing. I've never been a looker. I've always had shit skin, shit hair, 3 years in it, you know, bad googly eyes, I'm short, dumpy, and that's not me. You think I'm putting myself down. I'm not. I'm accepting of what I am. I would love to be 5'6" and elegant, but I'm never going to be. So I accept what I am. And that's what I think most people, particularly nowadays, I don't believe in filters. I am what I am. And I think it's really sad that the younger generation, in their kind of teens, 20s, 30s nowadays, need to do this. People send me photos of me from Shameless to Brookside to whatever and go, send me really horrible pictures or send me really glamorous. And I go, yeah, I know what I look like. I don't need a million pictures of myself. I've never taken a photo in my life. I'll go, yeah, get a picture of me and George Michael. Yeah, get a picture of me and Boy George or Sam McCall or whoever or whatever people I know. But I'm not really that bothered. Memories are here in your head and in your heart.
But do you think you see yourself differently to other people? Because you say you've accepted as if that's a fact, you know, that you look this way or you look a certain way. But do you get people kind of say to you, that's not the case? You know, you look, because I feel like that could be a self-esteem thing.
I think physically,
you look amazing,
I've always,
by the way. You
thank
really
you.
do.
You know, Anna's just done me makeup and hair, and you look great, don't you? The right light and anyone can look great. I don't look like I've just been dug up, but you know, I'm not putting myself down. It's not about a lack of self-esteem. You know, I've got great boobs, but they're man-made. You know, I've got a great stomach, but it's man-made now. But when I say accepting, why do we need to, throughout the world, fit a certain type to be accepted? I am what I am. If you don't like me, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
You know, if she does and he doesn't, she does, and sometimes through life, I've come across people and thought, I really like you. Oh, it's a shame you don't like me. But I get it, and I can live with it because you don't pay my mortgage and you don't sleep with me. So it's not really going to affect me. Whereas nowadays, because of the world we live in, social media, it's all about acceptance and validation.
It's sad.
I don't care.
Yeah.
If 10 million people troll me, bring it on. And if I'm in the mood for the fight, you'll get me. And if I'm not, but I can truly, honestly say most people sit in a room, at a dinner table, in a nightclub or whatever. You know, if I'm on a dance floor and someone says, wow, girl, you got it going on. You got some black in you there. You can't half move. Or if someone goes, oh, you're the worst dancer I've ever seen. I don't care. Either way, as long as I'm having a great time, who cares? And I kind of live my life by that. As long as I'm fundamentally a decent person, I don't care what race, culture, size, shape, whatever you are, as long as you're not hurting anybody, you know. And I just think people should embrace their eccentricities and embrace their flaws. Don't get me wrong. I have a lot of flaws I need to work on. I can't just live with them because they might affect other people. But, you spend your life worrying what people think. I'm not a people pleaser.
That's a good thing. That is a good thing.
Yeah.
But let's go back to Brookside, because so when you join a show like Brookside, it's well established, especially in Liverpool. The amazing actors, the cast. To join a show like that, you become a household name. You become, in people's lives every day. So how did that opportunity come about for you? Yeah. And how did you feel joining such a big show?
Well, I started acting when I first met Shane Collins, my first agent, London agent. I was very lucky, no drama school, no university and all that stuff. I'd gone to college, done literature and English during working at the Holiday Inn, babysitting, doing breakfasts for footballers, having a ball. But I kind of went back to my love of acting, and I met Anne Bates on a train years later with a kid in a pram. Can you imagine? I'm with a kid in a pram, and she went, "Oh, Malone, you should have been an actress, stayed in it." And I went to work at a place called the Rathbone Theatre Unit, which was a 2-year course, or it was kind of a scheme that the only good thing, I guess, Thatcher brought to this country, in my opinion. Anyway, we won't do politics. But, and what happened was I went on this government work scheme where you train to do theatre. And it was kind of like theatre in education, but we did shows. You would build a set, you would rehearse and write for 3 weeks, and it was all walks of life. Every kind of person, someone from university, posh graduate, to somebody like me, a scally with a sovereign ring, leather dress, baby in the pram. And you'd all book in, you get on the course, and you devise, write and produce shows for the criminally insane, or dropout centres, or the elderly. So if you were doing the elderly, you'd do a show about the war, post-war Britain, say, or you do something with the criminally insane, which might be a restoration comedy. And that's where I trained. And from that came me, Mark Morahan, who you may know from everything from Brookie to Horby, Tony Maudsley in Benidorm, and we all trained. I think Kathy Tyson did just before me at the Rathbone Theatre Unit. I met a wonderful guy called Peter Ward. I'll never forget when I auditioned, he went to me, "Have you brought your piece?" And I was like, "A piece of what?" And he went, "Classical and a contemporary." Ironically, I teach now in my own drama school, classic and contemporary, Shakespeare and contemporary theatre. But at that point, I was 28 with a kid. And going, "What are you on about?" No, I was 26. Danielle was about 5 or 6. And yet, so I trained there for 2 years. And then what I learned very early on through meeting Jimmy McGovern, Willie Russell, Alan Bleasdale, all those people doing theatre jobs, lunchtime theatre, I did anything I could. I'd hold the bucket in a theatre under the leaking roof. I'd sell the tickets. I'd go, "I'll do the play for no money." Do you know what I mean? And with a kid in tow. My daughter sleeping in the seats while we were rehearsing because I couldn't afford a babysitter. And this was kind of late 80s, early 90s. And what I did was I wrote. I learned very early on. I wrote to everyone, from Glenda Jackson. "I'm a big fan. I think you're amazing. I went to my mum took me to see you and Vanessa Redgrave. I went to the cinema with my mum when I was 10, 11 and saw Vanessa Redgrave play Mary Queen of Scots and Glenda Jackson play Elizabeth, and I went, that's what I want to do." That was the first thing. I was 10 or 11. And I saw someone you will never have heard of, somebody called Millicent Martin, when I was 1970. I was 7 years of age. And I saw her in Aladdin at the Royal Court Theatre as a kid. I was 7. And I went, I want to do that. And they were my things before I met Anne Bates at school. And what happened was, I did the 2 years training at the Rathbone with a single parent living in Toxteth. Loved it. Went to see all kinds of theatre. Peter Ward ran it. He was the director and the manager. It was an amazing guy. We're still in touch to this day. And he took me on. He gave me a chance. And we trained, and I wrote to everybody, from Willie Russell to Glenda Jackson to Alan Blee, "Give me a job if you're auditioning." What I did was I wrote to Brookside every week. So Dorothy Andrew, the casting director, and Phil Redmond and all those people must have been gabbing, "She's doing my head in." And I couldn't afford posh photos or a posh CV. So I hand wrote. Hand wrote a letter
Wow.
every week. Anything you cast it for. To the point, Brookside didn't audition me for a role. They got me in. I think probably to shut me up at the time. And got me in and went, you keep writing to us and there's no roles. And Shane Collins had met me in London. They said, you need an agent. And Dorothy Andrew very kindly, top casting director then for Grange Hill and Brookside, put me in to introduce me to Shane Collins in London. I turned up and he went, well, you're fat, you're a single parent, you live in Toxteth, you've got a thick Scouse accent, you've no academic qualifications, you've not got a degree in drama. Why should I take you on? And I went, give me 6 months. And within 6 months, I was working at Brookside. I'd got 2 films, Frank Clark film, Terence Davis award-winning film, and a huge advert for Volkswagen with Paul de Freitas casting. So I went, take me on, give me a chance. And he did. Then Dorothy got me back into Brookside when you still keep writing to us. And from what I believe, and it's in the books, Phil Redmond's mother, I'm pretty sure was called Maureen. And so Mo, the fat funny Scouse bird, was created. And so they brought me in as a recurring character and I was there 5 years. Phil Redmond obviously is a genius, we all know that. And he created Grange Hill, Brookside and Hollyoaks and the rest is history. And I stayed there for 5 years and it's kind of bittersweet in a lot of ways. And I say this now with great... I was working with Dean Sullivan, John McCardle, Lewis Henrik, Anna Friel. We started the same day. You know, Sarah White, the greats of Brookside, Mandy Jordash and all them were in, and Mickey Stark and all that. And I had a great time, but I felt very much underused. And I think at that stage in the early 90s, before, if you like, Lisa Riley in Emmerdale, there was a lack of, there was a little bit of a fear of using fat birds as mainline. And at the time, I remember thinking, without being anyway disparaging, my kind of idols were the likes of Kathy Burke, Pauline Quirk, Joe Brand. And at the time, they were all, Caroline Quentin, they were, big birds, robust, strong. And I remember thinking, they're the highest paid actresses in the land, talking French. To Pauline Quirk. Why aren't I? And I remember going to see Phil Redmond, making an appointment saying, I'm not going to come back. And everyone was like, are you nuts? You're not even like Lewis or Dean or John, one of the main characters. And I went, no, I want to do the West End. I want to do National Theatre. And people were like, bless her. Bless her. She thinks she's going to do the National Theatre. And I did.
Wow.
So 12 months at the National Theatre. Most things I've wanted to do, I've harassed people, I've pushed people. And then I went to the National Theatre playing Marnie Sweet, guiding star written by the wonderful Jonathan Harvey, who became an incredible friend of mine, and Kathy Burke. Kathy and Jonathan in the early days of my acting career, I probably owe more to Kathy Burke and Jonathan Harvey than most people. They guided me, they fed me, they kept me and opened me up to the world of that, Kathy introduced me to everyone from Gary Oldman to Paul Whitehouse and she looked after me very much. And, I was a single parent and doing Brookside and felt a little bit underused. And then obviously I went on, did the wonderful Frank Clark, we know from Brezhnev, and I did Blonde Fist. I was only a spit and a cough in it, but it made kind of national, me and Margie having a fight. And then I did the wonderful, incredible Terence Davis movie, Distant Voice, The Long Day Closes, following on from Distant Voices, Still Lives, went to Cannes, and it won awards all over the world, and I was like, wow, so, and that was, everything I kind of wanted to do, I've done. And the rest is history, as they say. So I fought my way through.
Yeah.
I harassed people.
Do you know, it makes so much sense because we were talking, the last couple of days, and obviously we'll get into it in the interview, but there's always a theme when you talk. I think, wow, you're very resilient. You keep going and you keep going. Yeah. And to hear that you didn't give up, you kept writing those letters, you got what you wanted, and then people weren't taking you seriously as an actor by the sounds of it. You know, they didn't think you would go on, and you've done it. So is that something you kind of used for your life and thought, you know what? When you have moments where you think, I can't do this, you think back to that time and think, yes, I can.
Well, what happened was I left the Rathbone Theatre Unit. I'd met all these people doing lunchtime theatre, you know, the Jimmy McGoverns and the Willie Russells, and I kind of went, I've worked with Frank Clark. You know, I got to the stage where I thought, I've worked with all these people. So I set up my own all-female theatre company called Wisecrack. I got 5 girls together. I wrote the first play, produced it, directed it, called A Man for All Reasons.
Oh, okay.
And it was an all. And then every play I wrote and produced. And then I got kind of Kaleidoscope Radio 2. I'd never even heard of. You're talking to Scally, Woman of the Year. And then I made press all over the place. And they were like, you know, I was like, listen, I've got 2 hamsters, a kid, I live in a bedsit, a Staffordshire Bull Terrier who gave birth Christmas Day. I've got a child. I'm a single parent in Toxteth. And I just thought, I saw loads of theatre and thought, I could write that. I could direct that. I could produce that. And I did. And they sold out. And here I was watching major TV stars in the front row of the audience watching my play. And I did that over 2 years. And then got the wonderful Noreen Kershaw. I got the Prince's Trust funding. I got the Independent Theatre Company, London Theatre Council on board. I filled in all the forms. I did everything right. And I fitted a criteria. You know, a fat, funny, single parent Scouse bird, living in Toxteth, 2 hamsters, kid, Staffordshire Bull Terrier, bedsit. You know what I mean? I fitted all those criteria, and resilience comes from those days of being a single parent and fighting for everything. And Scouse, you know, we're Scousers, cut me in half and it's written through me like a stick of rock. And we are fighters, you know, the perfect example of that's Hillsborough. You know, and you know, those people who fought for justice for over 25 years. And I think that's in us. We're Celts, like the Manx and everyone in the north. Got nothing against the south or anywhere, but, you know, we've had to fight and we still continue to do so. And I do it with a smile on my face, but nobody will ever take advantage of me. And so I think the resilience comes from, well, you know, certain things you can't change in your life. I always wanted to be 5'6". I'm never going to be. I have to accept that. I always wanted to be size 6, size 8. And people used to, right through to Shameless, would go, bless her, bless her. She really thinks she's going to lose 12 stone. And I did.
You look amazing.
And, you know, it's like I always say to people when they say, I can remember being 28 and saying, I'll win awards. And people were like, bless her. I have. And I said, I was a big fat bird. I'll be size 6 or 8. And I was size 32 at the end in Shameless. You could have scooped me out and lived in me, put a family of 5 in me. You know what I mean? I was that huge. And I'm a size 6, 8. And I said I'd have a baby at 50. And people were even more, bless her. I gave birth and 4 weeks later turned 51. And I breastfed, and I've got a beautiful 11-year-old daughter and a 43-year-old daughter. Because I believe if you want it badly enough, and if you work at it. When I met my surgeon and he went, well, you're grossly overweight. You're 20 years older than your husband. You've got a daughter who's grown up married, and you work 80 hours a week and Shameless. You smoke, you've had drugs and drink in your past. Don't really think you're the right criteria. This was my Cypriot doctor, Gazvani, that fits us, you know, to go to Cyprus or Spain to get pregnant, to have, you know, fertility treatment. I went, oh, okay. I went back, because I'm a little bit OCD, on the day of my 50th birthday. The day of my 50th birthday, with an envelope with money in. And I went to him, there you go. Test my hair for nicotine, drugs, alcohol, anything you want. I've lost 12 stone 4 pounds in a year. Here's my husband. I've just handed my notice in to a show that is probably the best show on TV. Channel 4 Shameless. I was kind of feeling little bit like Top Dog there, you know. I've just handed my notice in, given them 6 weeks notice. Now will you do me? And Ghazvani went, you're 50 today. And I went, today. I'm leaving here in a minute, Mr. Ghazvani. I'm going to my 50th birthday party. I've got hair and makeup booked at 7. It's in the Carriage Works in Liverpool. Hundreds of people are coming. And I want you to make me pregnant. And by April, I was pregnant.
Wow, that's an amazing story.
And that's the truth.
Yeah.
There's no embellishment there. I'm not gilding the lily. That's facts. And I believe, you know, I ain't never going to say to you, I'm going to climb, you know, Everest. Because it ain't never going to happen. I've got bad lungs. I'm a bit on the lazy side when it comes to physical stuff. And I don't like the cold. So there's no point in me saying to you, I will do it one day. Because I know there's no chance. But if I say to you, you know what? I might give a 10k a go. I did 5k with Flame a couple of years ago. I might give it a go, you know, for dementia, whatever. And then I give it or suicide prevention, which obviously is highly relevant to me, or whatever. Those things, I will not kind of keep myself, I'll push myself, but I'm not going to go to, I will wake up one day 5'6", because I ain't never going to be able to. Let's break your legs and put them things in. But anyway, so yeah, I believe you should go. Don't ever let anybody kill your dreams.
Yeah.
You know, if you're sitting, you've got a beautiful studio here, more than I have. You've created this. You're a young man. I'm old enough to probably be your grandmother. Never mind your mother. I've got bras seriously older than you. Probably got knickers older than you. And you know, don't let anyone ever put you down or quash your dreams, whatever you are. You know, go for whatever you believe in and whatever you feel. And if you feel it enough in your heart and in your head, you can accomplish most things.
Do you know, you just told us why you left Shameless.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about joining it because icon is the word for Mimi. I mean, the mob gangster wife. When you watch the show, I mean, she had everything. She had the tenacity. She had the gumption, the famous headbutts. She dominated, you know. She was the kind of the matriarch of the family. Yeah. So when you got the scripts and you kind of got the idea of the character of Mimi, were you like, this is something I want to get my teeth into?
It's one of those, isn't it? You know, you always, you watch TV, and I'd watch things like Tipping the Velvet, you know, with Diana Rigg and all those kind of posh actors, and kind of gone, Andrew Waters, Sarah Walters, all these great, Tom Hooper, who directed Oscar-winning films, Joe Wright, I worked with him on Nature Boy, who went on to do Atonement with Keira Knightley, he's an Oscar winner. And I always go, everything I did, from Victoria Wood's Dinner Ladies to Joe Wright's Nature Boy to Tom Hooper's, you know, the one about Myra Hindley. And I was working with Jim Broadbent, Lindsay Duncan and Samantha Morton. And they were huge stars. And I was in Shameless. I was doing a spit and a cough, you know, in Longford. And I was like, Jim Broadbent, Lindsay Duncan, Samantha Morton. And they treated me wonderfully. And I was in Shameless at the time. And you go, I was spitting a cough in this, but everything I've ever done, whether I've been a lead in it, from Shameless to something like Dinner Ladies, every programme I've ever done's won awards. Wow. Every single programme. Every single programme.
There's hope for this show then.
Right, seriously.
Wow.
So even right through to my own Sky documentaries, Tina Malone pregnant at 50, and Tina Malone, My Perfect Body after all the skin removal. A whole nother boring story. But anyway, but Shameless. So looking at the likes of Willie Russell, I did a Willie Russell film, Victoria Wood, did Dinner Ladies, did all these greats, Frank Clark, Terence Davis, Phil Redmond, I had my list. Tick them off, tick them off, tick them off. Still haven't done Alan Bleasdale or Jimmy McGovern, but I've done Colin McEwen, who's the biggest producer in the northwest of England, BAFTA winning, award winning. Saved my life the last few years. That man, his generosity and his creativity and his genius is second to none. But anyway, but what happened was Paul Abbott was on my list. He'd done Clocking Off. He'd done all these he'd gone from Corrie to Clocking Off to these incredible dramas. And I can remember seeing Shameless with Anne-Marie Duff, Maxine, Dean, and James McAvoy, first series, and going, I want to be in that. But it was predominantly Mank. And Marjorie Yates, who was in it at the time, had done Long Day Closers, Terence Davis, acting's like a village. Everyone you know through someone, And I was like, watched Paul Abbott's Shameless and went, I'll never forget the first step with Jodie and Becky and going, to my agent. I was with Kate Spratt. Get me in this. You messing right up my street. And I went for the interview. Deborah Walsh, Paul Abbott got me in. And Deborah Walsh was directing. And I'll never forget, I turned up. And originally, Mimi was they were thinking Mank Irish. And I read it in both. And Deborah said, do it in your own native. And I did it. And literally next day I got the call. And she went, Paddy Irish, Mank, 7 Mank sons and 1 daughter. And Mimi's the Scouser. And, what's funny, to this day, we know all the cliches. There's a Mimi on every estate, whether you be in South London, Manchester, Newcastle, Inverness, anywhere in the UK.
Yeah.
But actually, it even transfers overseas. There's a Mimi everywhere. That matriarch, you know what I mean, who's married to the hard as nails man, but she actually rules the roost. And Sean Gilder played Paddy, incredible actor. And my sons were incredible. And my daughter, Sam, who played Mandy. But, when you've got genius directors and writers and scripts and producers, Charlie Pattinson, George Faber, who both produced a film I did years before with Pete Potterwaite, James Cosmo, George Costigan, Kathy Burke. I'd done a film with them years before. They now went from Our Friends in the North. So I'm looking, Paul Abbott writes it. George Faber and Charlie Pattinson produce it. Who did Daniel Craig, Christopher Eccleston, Our Friends in the North, was like, that's my agent, get me in this Shameless. And it was so prevalent. And when you think, I left Shameless, it ran for 11, 12 years, and I left 10, 11 years ago. No, over 11 years ago, the last series. So you're talking over 21 years ago, Shameless came out, right? You think how topical, how prevalent, how shocking, how contentious it was then, and still to a degree is now. And you had the incredible David Threlfall.
Yeah,
and we brought the most wonderful actors in, wonderful guest actors in. From the writing to the casting to the directing to the production, makeup, wardrobe. As an actor, it was a dream. And I went in, and there was Gillian Kearney, Maggie O'Neill, Maxine, Becky, and I went in, David Threlfall, and I was just a guest for the first few episodes. James McAvoy, Anne-Marie Duff, and I was like, and even though I'd done a lot of telly, a lot of film, and I went in, and I had got 3 episodes, and I was blessed. I was grateful, and I loved it. It was incredible. So 3 or 4 years down the line to become, the main female, if you like, to a degree. I don't like all that lead me out.
But she
bollocks.
was,
But and to be allowed to develop, we had the cliched extensions, acrylic nails, the handbags, the heels. But to become, and people say to me, oh, you're just like Mimi. I'm nothing like Mimi. The only things we have in common was she's fat and I was fat. She's Scouse, I'm Scouse. And, Catholic, fiercely Catholic, I'm a Catholic. So whatever you play, you bring some of yourself. It's like writers. You have to write from experience. If you look at, Cracker, written by Jimmy McGovern, you write from your own experiences predominantly. But the great writers do anyway, right through to Shakespeare, But I kind of think I brought a lot of me to it. But then there's a lot of things. Mimi killed one of her own sons because he killed her other son, Mimi sold heroin, I dabbled in drink and drugs on a personal level, but I wasn't selling smack on an estate. So, those things are, you bring whatever you know to a character, but it was a gift. Those scripts were a gift, and it was a joy to play. I felt what was one of the strongest female, realistic women. I know. I've come across those women in my lifetime. And to play, would roll her sleeves up and run down the street, and so I knew that. And to bring that to a character and work with and I'm not blowing smoke up anyone's arse, it's a fact. I might not like some people, but the fact is you respect actors and the production, and it was a joy to do.
I got to say, what I love about Mimi was the character development because, she'd go in, she would do the headbutts, the fight scenes, but there was a little vulnerability where she wanted to be loved. And that later on in the series came through. Did you, as an actor, love the fact that you could explore that softer side, the fact that she did just want kind of to be loved and to be accepted?
Yeah, the most interesting one for me was which Paul Abbott. I went to Paul Abbott's home with the writer, Stephen Russell, and the directors over what I call the fat episode. And I always remember reading the script and kind of going, which you couldn't do now. Listen, when that guy is going, our ex-boyfriend, played by Brian, the wonderful Brian McCarty, who's actually dead now. Ed McCarty was one of our writers as well, and Brian had done huge films, Speed and what have you. And he came in as Mimi's ex-boyfriend, friend of Paddy's and whatever. Anyway, and I always remember kind of thinking, because I was in a room predominantly with men, Paul Abbott, Steve Russell, whatever, directors, I kind of said, I got the chance to say, listen, guys don't go, the larger bird. I'll have the larger bird. No, you won't. I'm having the pretty one. You get to fuck. I'm not having the fat one. They would go, the fat bird, you're joking. I'd rather go home and get a kebab or whatever. And I said, we're going to do this fat episode, about the subtext is about women feeling, obese and unhappy and unloved and insecure and angry. I've been that angry fat bird, remember? In real life, defensive. Was never a grateful fat bird, by the way. I wasn't throwing it around ever. I used to say to fellas, I know it's tentative, and you think, kebab or the fat bird, you're more luck with me pretty mate. I ain't grateful. So I'd never been that kind of, because I had that influence of my father who put me on a pedestal. So, but what I would say is, I said, I've heard men don't go, I'm not having the larger lady. They go, I'm not having the fat one. So let's say it as it is. If you see someone who's got hugely fast, this character had come in who'd gone with me years ago and turns up and she's like the size of a house. We would go, fucking hell, the size of me? How'd you do that? Do you know what I mean? So I said, keep it real. And that's the beauty of Shameless. And I kind of felt that the men went, wow, yeah. Do you know what I mean? That's how it is. And you have to be real. And, excuse me, as a fat woman, as a fat bird, and I like saying that. Funny enough, I've done a few interviews on TV lately, and I'm not allowed to say that. Fat bird. And I was a fat bird. And you know what else I find now? People go, oh, well, you say that because you're thin. I think the fat bird's now inside the thin bird. Still, Wow. But say it as it is.
Yeah, 100%.
Say it's funny if I can just say, a few weeks ago, I was really annoyed that Next, the shop, I've just done an advert. It's been all over the telly in the last 2 weeks. Did an advert with a mixed race model, beautiful girl, advertising leggings or jeans. Do you know the advert's been banned? And Next have had to apologise because she was too thin. This beautiful mixed race girl in these leggings and jeans. And I went, I want to ring up everyone from Talk TV to GB News to Good Morning Britain and go, hang on a minute, I've got a thin daughter. Well, she's going to look at that and go, well, I'm really thin, Mum. Am I not allowed to be model? So you're actually body shaming a model for being too thin. You'd be the first to shout about body shaming someone for being too fat.
Yeah.
Where do we go with that? You can have the fat beard model in the leggings and you can have the thin beard model in the leggings. What's wrong with having both?
Yeah.
And they've just banned that
mad.
advert. And I'm disgusted. Just got to say that.
That's crazy.
Honestly.
Well, one thing I do want to go on that was a little bit crazy,
Digress.
which was Celebrity Big Brother, because we were speaking briefly last night. I loved the show. And when you went in there, it was just you, and I think you said it last night, you had everyone, but it was when Celebrity Big Brother was with celebrities. You know, you had people that you knew. So when they asked you to go on there, did you have any doubts at first, kind of going in and letting your personal side out on TV?
Well, at that stage, I'd always been, I love Shakespeare, I love theatre. I come from a theatre background, you know, from the Playhouse and the Everyman in Liverpool through to the National Theatre, which I'm blessed to do and ever grateful for. But, you know, under Trevor Nunn was there at the time. But I also feel that I was very strongly against social media and reality TV. And I got to the stage, I was big in Shameless, pardon the pun, and I got to the stage where if you can't beat them, join them. So I'd done Celebrity Come Dine With Me, 1. Celebrity 4 Weddings, 1. Celebrity Mastermind. I won't talk about that, but let's just say I'm not really a BBC face, but I did well. I think I won the first round on your chosen subject, which I'd said the Tudors, Sopranos and Streisand, and they picked me to do Streisand. Celebrity Master Chef at the BBC, which I've done that, semi-finalist, mind-blowing experience, loved it with Greg and the other fella, loved it, brilliant, had a ball with Sido and Louise Minchin. And, but at that time, I did Celebrity Splash, had a ball, but at that time, when Celebrity Big Brother was at its peak, and it was ridiculous money to turn down. We're not talking 30, 40 grand then, right? We're talking big money. And so I agreed to do it. And I thought, I come out with a big wad of money. I'm a big fat beard. I'll probably get exposed to the world going, because I'll talk about my size now open. I'll be offered gastric bands all over the place. I'll be offered me teeth in Harley Street. Yeah, let's do it. It's win-win. What have I got to lose?
Yeah.
I'm somebody who's pretty open book anyway. If you don't like me by then, you're never going to like me. So you might even watch me in Celebrity Big Brother to go, oh, actually, she's not as bad as I thought she was. Or actually, she's worse than I thought I was. But at the end of the day, I go home with the wads of money, so who cares?
Yeah.
Win-win. So I did it. And I was with Coolio, Ulrika, Muttia, LaToya Jackson, who clung to me.
I know, she really did.
Wanted to be my best mate. And you know what? I had an absolute ball. I had a wonderful time. And I always remember one incident, which you never saw. I did the roast dinner, Sunday dinner for everyone. And I always remember peeling the carrots. And I got LaToya to peel the potatoes. Now, she was doing the carrots, I was doing the potatoes. And she went to me, you know, Tia, I've never done this before. And I went, LaToya, wait till I get you on the onion scale. That's a whole new ball game. And then when we had to choose who, they use sugar bottles, you know, you get your family letter from home. and you choose one of your other members to read the letter. So I'm thinking, Michael and Janet are going to have sent a letter to LaToya. I never said nothing, never even said that. And LaToya went, my friend Tina, I want to pick her. And it was funny because you had to stand up and pick how you... So people went, you had a glass bottle with the letter in, sugar glass, obviously not a real bottle. And LaToya went, do you want to hit me on the leg or then? And I went, I'm not doing your arse, girl. Do you know what I mean? Do it on your head. And she had this wonderful big afro. And I always remember everyone was doing it on different elbows. And I smacked the bottle on her head. I was a big fat scouse beard. Whack. And she went, oh. And I went, I've just bottled her, Jackson. And that went like headlines. And it's like the headline I had with Coolio when I said to him, you know, can I swear my life?
Yeah, of course
and I
you
said,
can.
you don't fuck me and you don't pay my mortgage, don't tell me to shut up. But you don't see where the row derived from. Me and Coolio made up after the show. It was, you know, when he was like, oh, you big fat ass girl. And I was like, shut up, dickhead. You're about as content as I'm thin. You know, but it was, you know, there was Michelle Heaton, Ben Adams, Tommy the politician, Vern LaTroya, Coolio, Ulrika, Mutia, LaToya, Terry Christian. We were all actors, singers, politicians, musicians. We were all proper. Don't really like the use of celebrity,
but famous. But it's true.
Celebrity means a celebration of talent. I kind of dispute how talent correlates with somebody who's been in a show where all you have to do is vomit, wet the bed, and maybe sleep with a few people. I don't kind of... I'm an actor. I'm no more important than someone who's a plumber or a baker or a window cleaner. I'm no less important, but I'm no more important. That just happens to be my job. It's what I'm good at. And if I get the decorators in and go, wow, that wallpaper and that painting, oh my God, that's fantastic. Or, you know, I get someone in to do a buffet for my daughter's communion and go, oh, I think I can cook. That's amazing what you've done. You've carved pineapple into monkeys climbing palm trees. Oh my God, Paul's dad, you know, can make fruit into any... Oh my God, whatever it is, you know, your talent is your talent. I don't see kind of vomiting and wetting a bed and kind of swearing and shouting and fighting and, you know, raving being kind of a talent. I don't know, maybe I'm just a little bit old-fashioned. And don't get me wrong, I've seen the likes of, say, Pete Wicks, who was in...
Strictly, but Towie
what was
originally.
He from?
Only Way is Essex.
What's it called?
The Only Way is Essex.
The Only Way is Essex.
Yeah.
Now, say somebody like him, he's got a brain, he's become a great presenter, and he cares about animals, and he does a lot of really good stuff. Now, that's a different thing. You know, Alison Hammond came from...
Big Brother.
An ordinary Big Brother. She's a well-versed presenter. She's funny. She's intelligent. She's clever. She's got a persona that's amazing. You warm to her. She's talented. That's it. If you break in, but then some of them are famous for 3 weeks. And they turn up late. And I'm like, hang on, I've been doing this. I'm an actor. I've been doing this for 40 years. You're nobody. And you're late for that actor, and me. How rude. And so I kind of waver between reality and some not so reality.
Who are you referring to there?
Nobody in particular.
Can I go back to, you know, the bottle you smashed over?
Yeah.
Who was the letter from?
Michael and Janet and Jermaine.
No way.
Yeah, and Tito and all of them.
So you read the letter out from them?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and LaToya wanted to be my friend. And she used to say, you know, she used to call me Patty. She used to say, you're so like my friend Patti LaBelle. You're so like her. You're so funny. They'd love you in Hollywood. And I'm like, nah, they wouldn't. Trust me, I'd do their heads in. But, yeah, she invited me over to LA and all that and whatever. But I never went. Because I couldn't be asked. But, yeah, she was... I got really close to Mutia and Ulrika and, you know, Terry I'd known for years through the Gallaghers and what have you. But, you know, it's a village Our industry is a village. And, you know, I've met people like Meryl Streep and, you know, Susan Sarandon, and I've gone, whoa, I'm not worthy. And worked with the likes of Ray Winston, Pete Postlethwaite, and gone, oh, I am not worthy. But then I've worked alongside some people in, not actors, to be honest, in reality stuff I've done, celeb stuff I've done, and I've thought, you're a wanker, you're a no mark, and you are disgraceful the way you treat people. But I'll leave it at that. Don't want to be contentious in this in case my mother watches.
Do you know as well with you just said then you're not asked. There's a montage on YouTube of you in Big Brother, and it's just you saying "I'm not asked," and it's the funniest video. It's like I'm not asked, and you did it so much in Big Brother. Me and Shane were watching it yesterday. It's so funny.
You know when actors go to you, by the way, I've never seen it, and they're lying. Or celebrities go, I really mean, I've never seen what you're on about.
It's so
I believe
funny.
there's a meme, whatever a meme means, going round to me going, I'm a, or that famous line, I'm a fucking fat fucker. I'm a fat fucking fucker. When I went, I want to lose weight, but I don't want to stop eating and I don't want to exercise. Famous meme lines. I always remember one of the lines I had. If am I allowed to swear? Yeah. Again, dementia kicking in. I always remember one of the lines I had to an actress, wonderful actress called Moya Brady, who I knew really well. We were good friends years and years ago. And I always remember I had to say, there's more than one way. There's more than one way to skin a cunt. Not skin a cat, skin a cunt. I went, are you having a laugh? And and they would give me classic lines like that. And I remember thinking, I'm going to be in the Guinness Book of Records for the woman with the most C words on TV. But you know, I've been blessed. I've worked alongside incredible actors and writers and people. The downside, obviously, is I've had a great relationship with most press, but I've had a bad relationship with, you know.
Well, I was going to move on to that because obviously such an esteemed actor, you've done everything that you wanted to do. But a lot of us, if I go through something, you know, previously I've been divorced for example, and I can do that in private.
Yeah.
But for you, everything that's ever happened in your life is out there for everybody to see. It's talked about. People discuss it on social media like they know you.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go back to, various things, for instance, you know, when bankruptcy, for example, public eye. Everyone was talking about it on chat shows. How do you deal with that? Where something
bankruptcy?
No, in a sense of something so private being discussed publicly.
To be really honest with you, I couldn't give a shit about bankruptcy. Donald Trump was bankrupt.
Yeah.
Richard Branson, Ray Winston. The most incredible people have been bankrupt. Who's asked? Says you made a mistake.
Yeah.
Who's asked? Couple of things that was true. Absolutely true. I was made bankrupt. I'm not one of them. Unfortunately, I had the big court bankruptcy and then they took my wages off me for the next few years. So I'm not one of them ones who went, I've been made bankrupt and I'm not paying that. I had to pay it. So
wow.
I get the good and the bad. But, you know, the president of the free world, the USA, has been made bankrupt. So why should little Tina be asked? Yeah. So the bankruptcy... Yeah, not asked. People will discuss. People will make up what they don't know or what they think they know, you know? And a perfect example of that is when I had my gastric band, and if you have bread or Diet Coke or a lemonade or something, you throw up because it's tight. And I always remember we'd be in the theatre, me and Paul. And also... I've got sinusitis, true, and I've had a clot in my lung and pneumonia. I suffer badly with nasal, ears, throat. And Paul would go mad because we'd be sitting in the theatre. And every 2 minutes, I'd get up, I'd go, and I'd get up to go to the toilet because I'd had a few jelly babies and go. And then I'd come back from the toilet having blown my nose and wiped my nose, and Paul would go, everyone thinks you're fucking running in the toilet doing something else. And I'd go, I'm not doing it. And he'd go, I know, but... And I'd go, I'm going to throw up. Are you messing? And so what people don't know, they will very much make up. So
to sell a story.
At the end of the day, I know what's the truth and what's not the truth.
Well, another story which was huge, you know, and I hope you don't mind me asking.
No,
but
ask me anything you want.
In 2019, the court case, you know.
Which one?
You shared an image of what you believe to be of the child killer.
Yeah.
And this was such a tricky story because you had so much support. The public were very much, you've done the right thing, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And people were deeming you a hero for doing that, but it got you in a lot of trouble, you know, in a sense of, were you sentenced, was it 8 months, but suspended?
Yeah.
So talk us through that kind of process for you, because...
Well, legally...
Are you not allowed?
No, legally, I committed a crime. What I did was wrong and illegal. And I ended up in the High Court, the equivalent to the Old Bailey. The Attorney General summoned me to court. It went global for contempt of court. And I got a huge fine, thousands and thousands of pounds, which I'll be paying off forever. And I was at the time on the board for the James Bulger Trust. Very good friends with Denise and Stu. And I'm not very au fait, as you know, with my Nokia phone. I'm not good with technology.
Yeah.
I can honestly, hand on heart, tell you, and anyone who knows me will tell you, I don't know what a hashtag means.
We saw yesterday,
I don't know what copy and paste means.
Yeah.
I don't know what... I've never ordered anything online in my entire life, from Google or Amazon or anywhere, in my life, on St. Joseph, right? I don't understand. And if I'm on Instagram or Facebook or X, I can do X on my iPad like that. But if I'm on any of those, it's because... I always remember Jonathan Harvey going, Tina, you know when you put something on Twitter, you don't need to repost it yourself, because I was pressing all the buttons.
Yeah, so it's
I didn't
twice.
know that. I thought you wrote it and then liked it yourself and reposted it yourself.
Oh, okay.
So he said,
So
you don't need to do... Because I didn't know.
Yeah.
So I'm not very good at... And that's not false.
Yeah, no,
That's
no,
absolute... Yeah. And I've no inclination to learn. I'm far too old and I couldn't give a rat's ass, right? But, yeah, I saw a picture of who's in witness protection for the last 30 years. And I just shared it along with 2 million other people. Didn't comment. But yeah, I ended up at the High Court with an 8-month suspended prison sentence for 2 years and a large fine and costs. And it destroyed me for 12 months. As in being set up with drugs in Panto 2 years previous to that, destroyed me for 12 months. But hey-ho, the third worst thing to happen in my life was my husband's suicide last year. Nearly a year ago. So nothing compares to that. So bring it on.
I was going to say, it sounds like you didn't really, when you reshared it, you didn't really process it. So do you regret that, in the sense of, I shouldn't have done that? Do you have regrets for sharing the photo?
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Totally and utterly. Because it cost me dearly.
Yeah.
Here, in my heart, in my head.
Professionally.
I lost a few friends.
Really?
Yeah.
But surely people that know you, because I mean, I've only so yesterday was the first time we met, but I can see Jeanette, for instance, does a lot on your phone or will help you, or you genuinely do not get technology.
A good group of girlies.
Yeah.
But now I lost a few friends in certain oversharing that.
Wow.
A couple of people distanced themselves from me.
Well, you mentioned Paul, and last night, honestly,
Yeah.
when you talk about Paul,
Yeah.
I was actually going to say this to you last night, but I spilt food down myself. But it was so amazing to see the look on your face, because when you talk about Paul, you just see true love. And I never met Paul or knew Paul, but so how did you meet?
We met in a fat camp, and I hated him. And I always remember he knocked on the door, squaddy, straight back from Afghanistan, and he was one of the trainers, and he went, downstairs in 10 minutes, Tina Malone. And I went, whoa, hang on, who are you? He went, Lance Corporal Chase or whatever. And I went, you're one of the squaddies who's training. I'm going to complain to your manager, because this is a fat camp. You know all these women below? I'm in the four-poster at the top of the hotel, right? You know all these women below, Mr. Chase? I went, they've all paid a couple of grand to stay here, and the celebrity paid to be here. So, if I don't want to do, abseiling, whitewater rafting, but I decide to do, I'll do the raft building. I'll do what I want to do. You don't tell me what to do. I'm paid to be here, mate, with me niece. And he went, I don't care who you are. You get downstairs in the barn in 15, and I'd walk in the barn 10 minutes late. All the girls from all over the world, from Amsterdam to Australia to Chelsea, to all be there. Middle-aged women who kind of, maybe the husband was with the secretary and they'd had a couple of kids, they were feeling a little bit frumpy. I was like, that. And he was like, right, on the floor, give me 10 press-ups. And I was like to him, fuck off. Are you talking to him? And I went to his manager and went, don't like that dickhead. Keeps telling me what to do. And it was on the fourth day. And because they were all trying to run, and I was a big fat bird, so I was at the back of the 8-mile run. You built up a mile a day. And on the last day, on the Friday, you had to do 8 miles uphill. And he'd stand with a jelly baby and go, come on, fatty.
Oh, wow.
Next pole, another pole, and you can have a jelly baby. And I was like, beanie hat, sweating, going, I'm going to punch your lights out. And during that 8, everybody else did it in 2 hours back at camp. And I was like, after 8 hours doing an 8-mile run. And we sat on a wall, and it was pitch black, and we were talking. And he'd just come back from Helmand province. And in Afghanistan, he'd been in Iraq and Northern Ireland. And I was saying, you're 27, you're a baby. You've seen all that. Telling me about stuff, And I went, oh, and he went, all I know is that you've done TV, you were in some shows, Shameless, Brookside and whatever, Dinner Lady. My mum told me that, weren't you in Big Brother a couple of months ago when you were talking about, like, the fact that you had a fat fanny? And I went, yeah, it's not a big fanny, it's a fat one. And he went, that's all I know about you. And he went, I didn't know who you were. And we just started talking, swap numbers. And the next day, they were all handing out the certificates. And he started dancing with me niece. And I saw him dancing. And I went, whoo! And he was a big lad. And I went, he could dance. And I like a man who can dance. And he could move. And I was like, that boy's got soul. And so the following week, we went out for a drink on the Friday. We had text. And not all. And we went for a drink. I went, yeah, I'm in town. I'm going to Nice on the Monday. So I'm in Liverpool City Centre. I live in Manchester, but I'm in Liverpool because I'm flying to Nice on the Monday to go and buy an apartment with my mum. Anyway, so I said Friday night. So I met him Friday night for a drink. It wasn't even night. It was 6 o'clock. And we spent the whole weekend together. And I fell out the hotel Monday morning to meet my mother like that, Speak Airport. And he moved in with me 13 days later.
So you just clicked in the end. You actually just gravitated towards each other.
I said to him, after we were in Jeanette's apartment in Manchester, and we were in bed, and I'll never forget, I'd known him 10 days, and I went to him, look, and he was like, oh, he just left the army, and he was all, his ears were bad with Iraq and whatever, and he was suffering sleep apnea and everything. And I went, look, I'm a fat bird who wants to be thin. I'm self-absorbed, self-obsessed. I'm neurotic. If I want to watch The Sopranos and iron my clothes at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to do it. I sleep only 4 hours a night without drugs or drink. I'm 25 years, so 20 odd years sober at the time. I've had every obsession: food, drink, drugs, work, milkshakes, Diet Coke, cigarettes. I get rid of things. I'm ambitious. I'm driven. I'm me first, second and last. I've got a daughter who's 2 years older than you. I am 2 years older than your mother. I'm diabetic. I'm a bit spoiled. I can be petulant. I can be angry, loud, obnoxious, opinionated. And if you think you can take that on, let's give it a go. And he literally went, I like it, I'll give it a go. That was it. We got engaged 8 months later, married 18 months later.
And what was the reaction of, say, your family and his family? Were they for...
My daughter went to him when I flew her back from Australia. She was in Australia at the time, and I flew her back to meet him. And she went to him. I've been with him 6 months. And she went to him, I'll give you 6 months. To it, I'll give you 6 months. And my family were like, whatever. I'd come out of quite a long relationship. My family were kind of okay. And my friends and family, Jeanette and Dawn and people like that who I trust, who know, said he's a good lad. And I think his mum and dad were more wary. I think they kind of felt, well, yeah, she might be toying with you. She's got money, she's got, profile, she's, you know what I mean? Paul, what I liked as well was he made me laugh. He made me feel beautiful. We had the most incredible relationship. And he supported me in my weight loss, in the fact I wanted a baby, in the big wedding. He wasn't impressed by anybody famous or he would go, whether it was Jensen Button, Risa fans, or he'd go, oh, nice to meet you, mate. Or George Michael, thanks for the tickets, but I'm getting off to watch the snooker. Not come the pot. He just wasn't impressed with anyone, anywhere, anytime. And I loved that about him. And I could be in head to foot, Dior, Kenzo on the red carpet. He didn't care if he was in Ralph Lauren or Matalan. He didn't care. He'd been shitting in a box in Iraq and Afghanistan. You know what I mean? For years, he'd been living in tin beans. He used to eat cold beans out of a tin, and I used to go, eat, you know what I mean? But, so, I introduced him to ribeye and olives, but he was never, and he worked, he went into care then with violent teenagers, and he had PTSD. I'm in the big legal battle at the moment with Home Office, MOD, the coroners in Liverpool, the police in Liverpool, the coroners, the police, the judges, the Royal British Legion, the MOD complaints ombudsman have been phenomenal in support. My daughter's school headmistress, Mrs. Wilson, Mr. Wright, the headmaster, and her teachers have been phenomenal. Because, sorry, get upset.
No.
It's something I'll just sum it up. We had a love in 15 years that whatever we were going through here and there, we travelled from Hawaii to New York to Spain to Birkenhead. You know what I mean? There was nowhere we didn't go together. We had our beautiful daughter together. There was nothing we didn't do together. We knew every inch of each other. We told each other every day, 7 days a week. I could look like shit and he would still massage me, love me, tell me I was beautiful. He'd also say, you look like shit today, babe. We had a wonderful family, wonderful friends, but we loved each other like most people don't find in a lifetime. And people go, yeah, we've been 48 years, 50 years or whatever. We were inside each other's skin. The world didn't matter. And he was a wonderful father and a wonderful husband. He could also be a pain in the ass when he went on a bender, wants to smash his head in. But he was a good man, a better man than most men I'd known. And he was a good man and better person than I could ever wish to be. And he took his own life. And I don't use the term commit suicide because it's not an offence. He took his own life through PTSD. And yes, he was intermittently taking a lot of drugs and a lot of alcohol and a lot of prescription as well, anything. And he tried twice before in the 12 months previous. And he was in clinics and he was in for PTSD and for everything else. And I'm in a battle at the moment because I want to change the law. And I managed to if I can just say this, wrap it up with, I managed at his inquest to get a Regulation 28. I'm not going to tell you what that's about, but it's about changing the law. It goes to Westminster, the Home Office. And that's what I'm fighting for now, along with the likes of Claire and Kat, who lost their husbands. Ross Kemp's doing a lot of work on it to support. A lot of people are. I just want to say this. We live in very strange times, as we know, since Brexit, COVID, Trump, 4 prime ministers, Rishi, Boris, lockdown, whatever, Ukraine, the world. The world's a very strange place at the moment. Nothing would surprise us anymore, does it?
No.
But let's just say this. We campaign, and rightly so, about domestic violence to prostate cancer, to bowel cancer, to breast cancer, to everything, to dementia, Alzheimer's. But let me just tell you this. 4.8 men a week in the UK not serving veterans from the armed forces take their own lives every single week in the UK. Every single week. Okay. And my husband was one of them. And I won't let him and his comrades be forgotten. And it's all right saying, let's take up arms and support, whoever, what's going on in Gaza and Palestine, and Israel is horrendous and Ukraine is horrendous. But my husband fought in Iraq, Afghanistan, Northern Ireland. He went from Belize to Cyprus and he had a wonderful life in the army. But 4.8 veterans take their own lives in the UK every week. And you never hear about it. And it needs to change now.
And you are fighting. You've got a team. You were telling me yesterday you have the strongest team.
You wouldn't believe.
But I wanted to just ask something.
Excuse me, I've apologised for getting emotional.
Honestly,
and upset.
don't. Because this will connect with people. And you said something at the beginning of the interview. We were talking about growing up, and you said that sometimes you just want validation. Do you think you gave each other that because you could be yourselves? You were your pure self. He was his pure self when you were together. So do you think you gave each other that validation?
Yeah, but it was. If you look at pictures of us, those kisses on Loose Women or the Irish show, the Saturday night show or wherever it was, those weren't rehearsed, Paul loved me in a sack. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In a bin bag. and he loved me in £10,000 outfit. Paul I could go, get that spot there, dude. There was nothing. I know people who've been married 20 years who still get under the covers and make sure their makeup's on perfect like that. I could go, morning, Brett, get off, you're not snogging me now. There was nothing between us. Nothing at all. We could be absolute. And don't get me wrong, he would do the petals in the bath. And, you know, in memory of me dad, put Frank Sinatra on, a cigar and a JD, and doing Frank, his name, in tea lights in the conservatory when I came home from work in memory of my dad's death. And he was thoughtful. He would go, I've got you something, Mintero, to an Alexander McQueen bag. I remember one Christmas, he said to me, what do you want for Christmas? And I said, see this scarf and hat by Sia Clubby. And he went, where is it? Scarf and hat, is that it? I went, just the scarf and hat. He went, really? And I went, yeah, we've only been together a couple of years. And I went, I've put it away in Selfridges, you go and pick it up. And he rang all in, my cousin afterwards, and a couple of other people, and he went, I went to pick it up. He went, you only got paid yesterday, I've got 30 quid left in the bank. They went, 1,700. He said, and I went, how much for the scarf? He went, but I got it. But we were very, very different. You know, he had more in common with my daughter watching Everlasting, you know, Story, or, you know, Legend, or, you know, Pan's Labyrinth, or Labyrinth, the film, or he loved Depeche Mode and Biggie and Tupac. And I was like, did them years ago, loved. So we brought different things. Yeah. You know, he couldn't believe Barry White. He was like, I'd never heard of him before. And then those songs became our songs and everything, you know, and he'd make me walk and climb trees. And I'd be like, I'm not climbing trees. And he'd go, why are you? You're not bothered, are you? And I go, bothered? I'm not bothered if my ass is hanging out. I'm not bothered what people think. I just don't want it. And, but, yeah, I'm blessed to have had him as a husband and a father. But I want changes. There is no protocol for transition from the army. My husband wasn't in the army for 5 minutes. Wasn't in the TA for 3 years. He was in the armed forces in combat and saw things I wouldn't even describe to you on air. So there needs to be protocol changed right at the top, the Home Office, Westminster. It's that simple.
Well, one thing and a theme from this interview is when you want something, it will happen.
Yeah.
And I really believe that you will get what needs to be done because it's just who you are.
I will. I'm tenacious and driven. I'm highly annoying and irritating and opinionated.
But you're very
kind as well. But if it helps somebody not go through what I've gone through. And the beauty of it is I have my beautiful flame. My 11-year-old, can you imagine having to tell a 10-year-old who comes running in from school, your dad's dead, over the road? Can you imagine that? Not enough help, not enough funding, not enough anything. But I won't dwell on that because other people have suffered too. And if it takes me to my dying day, I'll get him justice.
And like we spoke last night, you really have got the team that are going to make that happen. You mentioned some of the I won't go into it, but the projects they've done and won.
Yeah.
So you're the right person for this. But I just want to thank you for actually coming on here and talking about something that is so hard, so traumatic, because love is so strong, especially the stories you were telling me yesterday. So to go through that is horrific.
Yeah.
But you've got this mission, you know, and you're the person that will be heard.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's you know, next week is the year anniversary. Exactly 7 days is the year anniversary to his death. And it feels sometimes like 10 years ago. His toothbrush is still there. His aftershave's next to the bed. His bottle of water's next to the bed. I keep filling it up because it goes, I think, with the central heating. His water's next to the bed. His gym shoes, his gym boots are under the table in the living room. His gym bag's in the hall, and his coat's hanging up, and all his clothes are in the wardrobe. And we have him all around us. And his Lancome and his moisturisers and everything. His shower gel is still in the shower, and we don't touch it. And we talk to him every day, me and Flame. My mother does. And if it takes me to my dying day, I miss him like so dreadfully. But it is what it is, and people endure ways, and I get that. And I'm back at work. I did my first job last week at film, and I've got a couple of other things, TV stuff coming up. And I have to, because I have to survive, and I have to fight for my daughter. And I talk to Paul every night. Every night. Sometimes I scream at him and shout at him and call him names I couldn't even say. But I tell him I love him every day. And I know he's with us.
You know, you're such a pure person to talk to. And it's in an interview, that's refreshing, because you connect with people. And just that in general, I know people watching this will really connect, and hopefully everyone, because we were talking in the car, people speak on TV, you must help, you must get behind, you know, but the action doesn't follow. It's just the words.
Yeah.
And you've got a team behind you that is putting the action in.
Yeah, but it's, you know, it's that thing of, it's easy, to spout platitudes, isn't it? And to, you know, to read off an auto cue, you know, get written dog in, let's do this, do that, the other. Put it into practice. I'll give you an example. I always remember years ago, a friend of mine saying, an actress went to her, are you sure you're okay? In the dressing room, are you sure you're all right? And she went, yeah, I'm fine. She wasn't. She's going through something. And she went, are you sure you're all right? Because, you know, you can talk to me. She went, no, I'm fine. And she went, third time, are you sure you're okay? Because, you know what, we can talk or whatever. And she went, well, actually, and she went, listen, I've got to go. I've got a meeting. Give us a ring tomorrow. And to me, that sums everything up.
Yeah. Everyone's too busy to...
Because nobody's really got the time, unless you're paying them.
Tina, I want to thank you for coming on the show today. I know it's been, again, like your career, ups and downs.
Yeah,
you know, it really has. But thank you for talking about the acting, the success on television, but also what you've been through personally as well. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to what's next, but I'm looking forward to you winning and getting the justice that everyone deserves.
Thank you, Lewis. It's been a joy. Thank you. You look amazing, by the way, but thank you for having me and for asking me. And
without the curry stain on my shirt.
No, I love your sense of dress, very smart. But thank you for having me.
So much.
And for having me and my gorgeous friend Jeanette, who without I wouldn't be here today. So she's one of my 9 best friends in the world, and she gets it. So
Tina, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.